70%. We are today something like a partner town with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because they compare the amount of destruction, and Japan has financially helped us to restore our city. You see, has been restored 24 years ago, or also ever since. But we do have some beautiful historic buildings, like here to the right. We have the Chapel of St. Roch, built in 1739 by German settlers, the Danube Swabians, who came to this town after the Ottoman invasion was over. From 1777, the Counts of Eltz, and they were the owners of, you could say, half of the city of Vukovar until World War II, after which everything got nationalized, which is the end of the 19th century. The Palace of Justice, this is our courtyard, so also Palace of Injustice. And to your right hand side we have a yellow building, which is the Polytechnic School, named after the first Croatian Nobel Prize winner, Leopold Ružička, who was born in this very street. About 70% of the town has been restored in the past 24 years. And you can see a tank, which is a monument from that last war in '91, because 31 Serbian tanks were destroyed on this very street. So this is a memorial for the defenders of the street. Not part of the Eastern Bloc. And Yugoslavia was actually a country that was functioning well, especially under Tito. He held it all together, the 6+1 countries. And those are Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, and Macedonia, and the +1 country, Kosovo. Kosovo, because Kosovo has not been recognized as independent by all the members of the UN yet. He earned a lot of respect also by saying no to Stalin, which is something nobody did. And this is why we were not behind the Iron Curtain. Since, you can imagine that Stalin didn't appreciate Tito's no, he was not used to no's. So Stalin tried to assassinate Tito many times. And then Tito grew tired of all these assassination attempts, and he sent a telegram to Stalin in which he said, "Please stop sending assassins my way, because otherwise I will have to send one to Moscow and I won't have to send another one." During Tito's times, we didn't have unemployment. You lived a very good life, and don't get me wrong, he was still a dictator. But to us he was a benevolent dictator, because if you didn't say anything bad about him or the Communist Party of Yugoslavia, you would live a good life. However, if you said something bad about him, then the secret police would find out, and Tito would award you with a 3-year-long summer vacation. But all of that was working until Tito was alive. When he passed away in 1980, a financial crisis hit Yugoslavia immediately. And 10 years into the financial crisis, we no longer had one president of Yugoslavia like Tito, but we had the presidents of the presidency of Yugoslavia. And the last one to take over, which was the notorious Milosevic. Slobodan Milosevic, the president of Serbia at that time, who centralized Yugoslavia even more, meaning that all the money had to go from the 6 states, first to Belgrade, to the capital, to Milosevic, and then it would be redistributed to the other states than Serbia. And 10 years into the financial crisis, you can imagine that Slovenia didn't want to follow Milosevic's politics, didn't want to finance Yugoslavia, and Slovenia was the first country to declare its independence from the state in 1990. In Croatia, a taste of what might happen to us if we declare our independence. Sorry, on the 25th of June 1991, Croatia declared its independence after a public referendum was held where 95% of the people voted for the independence. And 2 months later, on the 25th of August, my hometown Vukovar was attacked by 36,000 soldiers from the Yugoslav People's Army and another 14,000 members of paramilitary coming from 8 neighboring villages around the city, which are predominantly Serbian. So the town was surrounded by 50,000 and defended by only 1,800. Were able to resist for 87 days against 50,000. We were the breadbasket of the country, and Milosevic didn't want to lose the food, the resources. They were telling us that they want us to learn to live peacefully together again, but then they make a difference between the kids from an early age, kids who were not even directly affected by the war. I was 3 years old when the war broke out. I don't remember it. So why would I now, as a 10-year-old, have to carry the burden of my parents' generation? So they divided us into shifts. The Serbs would go to the morning shift, the Croatian kids to the afternoon shift, and then next week we would swap. And schools are still segregated in Vukovar. And that is happening only in that town, not here. And Osijek is the fourth largest city with 97,000. The largest cities are capital Zagreb, second largest Split, third largest Rijeka, and fourth largest Osijek. And here
arrived at the church, and we have this nice mural on the outside. Oh.
They started building it in 1715, and they didn't stop until 1775. We have just entered actually the citadel exactly
from the war.
300 years ago in 1722, and it was built to fight off a potential new attack of the Ottomans, because they ruled over this part of Europe for 161 years. So of course the Habsburgs were fortifying the borders, and the only reminder of the Turkish period of time is the Roman Catholic Church down the street, which doesn't make any sense. That Roman Catholic Church is an atypical one because it looks with the entrance towards east with the main altar towards west. It's supposed to be the other way around. This is how mosques are built, and this was a mosque. It was transformed into a Roman Catholic church, and the two onion roofs, you see one, but there is of course another one, they remind us of the Turkish style. Ottomans here,
had Goths, Visigoths, Ostrogoths, Celts. Everyone's came through here, including the Turks.
Proof of this fortress being considered very safe is that in 1805, when Napoleon tried to invade Austria, they brought all of the state reserve, all the money, all the gold, everything, to the fortress in Osijek for safety.
More damage. Some of these have been rebuilt.
High schools to the
You
left,
can see
and
the
also the
two domes on the church from here.
Building.
It's rebuilt after war period, because during the war we wasn't here. From 1991 till 1999 we were refugees. So you can see from the bus that every house is practically new house.
Pictures of the family.
The restroom is outside.
That's probably liquor that they've made.
The main house stay good. Everything else they have to remove, and just destruction. You know, just destruction, nothing else. And what they couldn't bring with themselves, they fired inside the house, completely destroyed. So we found just distractions and lots of landmines in the garden, near the houses. Yes, we still have lots of problems with the landmines. War stopped in 1995. We had problems with leftover landmines.
There's their wood for the winter, because gas is going to be way too expensive, so they're cutting up trees out here. Oh, look at the grapes. My heavens. This is the most grapes I've seen anywhere. Of course, it's the closest I've been to any grapes. This is next year's supply of, I think, cherry brandy. Has to sit out in the sun. Wood being delivered for the winter because they're not going to be able to afford the gas.
There is no free media in Croatia. I can tell you that with 100% certainty. From the smallest radio station, the smallest newspaper, to the biggest TV station, all of them are run, if not by political parties per se, and many of them belong to political parties, that is, political members of political parties who then have their own TV.